Hello everyone and welcome back to the space where we say that I can sleep. Wherever you guys are, whatever time of day, whatever day that you guys are listening to this, I hope you guys are taking good care of yourselves, getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, eating well, keeping yourselves healthy as much as possible because more than ever our physical, mental, spiritual health is extremely important, and we need to take care of ourselves in order to be able to do what we need to do and what we want to do. And right now what I want to do is to read to you guys, so I must keep myself healthy to keep doing this for you guys, and I just hope that you guys enjoy my readings, and I hope that if you guys do, you guys will show me some support by leaving me likes, leaving me comments, sharing my stuff, and following me on all my platforms like TikTok and Instagram at officially.iKenWin, here on YouTube and Spotify at iKenSleep, and the Patreon at officially.iKenWin, where you can get exclusive content like early access to full-length, uncut, raw audios, where you get to hear all my hiccups and mistakes. Now, just as a refresher of what happened last chapter, or last entry actually, because this is going to be part 2 of the last chapter, the group has now gone to where Shi Wudu is going through his 3rd Heavenly Tribulation, but he is not doing very well. He is unfocused and he seems very stressed and distraught, most likely worrying about his little brother, so hopefully they can help him out, and let's see what happens. Now let us once again ascend into heaven. Officials blessing. Chapter 61. Past the Heavenly Tribulation, Waves Surge in the East Sea, Part 2. When Pei Ming spoke, his voice was broadcast powerfully and widely. "Watermaster Shang, we found Qing Xuan." As soon as he spoke, Shi Wudu opened his eyes. Another giant wave surged to the skies and crashed back down. The ship was thrown high into the air, but it didn't keep up with the speed of the collapsing waters. It hung there for a brief second before falling rapidly. Shilian used the 1,000-pound weight spell to steady himself and grabbed Huazhang's hand tightly. "Watch out!" It was a funny feeling. Huazhang was clearly taller than him, and it took him no effort to carry Shilian with one hand. But Shilian always felt that Huazhang was light as a feather, like if he didn't pay attention, he would disappear. And so Shilian held him firmly, and Huazhang clutched his hand in turn. "Watermaster Shang, focus!" Pei Ming called out. "If you don't push those waves of yours down, you'll drown your little brother." Shi Wudu saw the ship in the distance and heard his words. Anger flashed across his face. His hand seal changed, and a spiritual shield burst from around him. It struck the water dragons that had been circling him, and they exploded into a deluge of water that crashed soundly into the sea. The raindrops hurtled like rocks against the deck and pelted their bodies painfully. However, after this assault, the storm slowed and calmed somewhat. Shi Wudu carefully descended and landed on the ship. Everyone was drenched from head to toe like drowned dogs. Shi Qingxuan wiped his face and mumbled with trepidation, "Guh." Shi Wudu's face was still dark, and he approached in large strides. "I told you to stay put, but you had to run away. Will you finally be satisfied if I'm angered to death?" Shi Qingxuan really didn't know what to say to that. When he couldn't see his brother, he'd worry, but now that he had seen him, he could only think about the whole awful business. His heart just couldn't get over it. I'm only just... In the end, he scratched his head and sighed. As long as you pass your trial, that's all that matters. I still think... Shi Wudu cut him off. Who said my trial is over? Shi Qingxuan was taken aback. Wasn't that it? Pei Ming made use of the water to slick back his hair. Don't relax so soon. This is your brother's third Heavenly Tribulation, so it's not gonna be that easy. It'll take at least 7 days and 7 nights. What you just saw was only the opening act. Truth be told, even if it were his first Heavenly Tribulation, it wouldn't be so easy. The Heavenly Tribulation that prompted Shi Qingxuan's ascension was heavily diluted compared to everyone else's. He must have come to that conclusion as well, and his face grew glum. Shilian's primary concern was the original goal of this journey, so he asked in the spiritual communication array, Ling Wen, we've entered the area where Lord Watermaster's Heavenly Tribulation is taking place. Can you tell us the location of the fishermen who were dragged into the storm? Please wait a moment, Ling Wen replied. After a pause, she said, This is troublesome. Today, 261 fishermen were pulled into the perimeter of the Heavenly Tribulation, and they're scattered all over the place. Her voice started to break up, and Shilian couldn't really understand her anymore. What's wrong? Ling Wen? He thought his powers were low again, but when he looked up and saw Pei Ming's face, it was obvious that he was experiencing the same thing. Before they could discuss the matter, Shilian saw more little broken boats not far away from them. Maybe the aftershocks of the opening round were too great and affected spiritual communication. It might improve in a bit. Ling Wen said 261 fishermen were scattered by the waves. So let's just save as many as we can. Naturally, no one objected. Watermaster Shang, why don't you go inside and rest for a bit? Pei Ming suggested. Your trial only just started, and who knows when the next round will come. You're pretty unlucky to have dragged in so many mortals this time. Shi Wudu did appear somewhat tired. He nodded, pushed open the door of another cabin, and went inside to meditate. Shi Qingxuan looked like he wanted to say something serious to him, but since his Heavenly Tribulation wasn't over, he couldn't bring himself to speak. He could only swallow his words and mope off to the side of Ming Yi. However, Shi Wudu opened his eyes again and said sharply, Don't go running around. Come and sit right here. And so, Shi Qingxuan could only crouch down next to Shi Wudu. More than half a day passed thus. As the night darkened, the ship floated farther into the deeper part of the East Sea. Although spiritual communication still only worked sporadically, they managed. Shilian and company rescued over 200 fishermen during this period. The fishermen had gone to sea to fish as always, but stormy winds and waves suddenly surged, and they were pulled too far out. It would have been impossible to drift back on their own if help hadn't come. And if left to drift, they would have floated endlessly until they died from starvation or dehydration, their corpses desiccated under the sun. They were understandably overjoyed at this miraculous ray of hope that saved them from the brink of death. Who knew how many days and nights it'd take for all the drifting fishermen to be rescued from open water, and Shi Wudu's third Heavenly Tribulation had still not officially started. Danger could rear its head at any moment, but even at a time like this, Pei Ming still acted as he always did. In the evening, they came upon a few terrified fisher girls needing rescue, their faces smeared with tears. He held them in his embrace and soothed them with gentle words. It was a true show of honey-sweet romance, an affectionate, charming display. Only after he charmed the girls did he send them off to the cabin, and the girls were all reluctant to leave, clearly hoping that when they opened the door, he would still be there. Shi Wudu cracked open his eyes. He'd been meditating for a while now, and his complexion looked better. Don't you usually have high standards? Although the fisher girls were in the full bloom of youth, they were still only average. They were nowhere near the standard of targets Pei Ming usually hunted. Now that he'd held some women, Pei Ming's face was glowing. He rubbed his chin as he laughed. After rescuing so many old, scraggly bearded fishermen, any woman looks like an outstanding beauty in comparison. Upon hearing this, both Shi Qingxuan and Ming Yi didn't want to look at him anymore. Shilian actually found it rather funny and shook his head. He and Huachang sat down next to each other at the side of the ship, and he felt the emptiness of his stomach a moment later. Everyone else on the ship didn't need to eat. Shi Qingxuan was immortal right now, but Shilian suspected Shi Wudu mustn't give him some sort of holy pill, the kind that could fill a stomach for a few days. Even now, Shi Qingxuan didn't show any sign of hunger. This ship wasn't built in the mortal realm, so it wouldn't carry any rations. Shilian was about to get up and try catching some fish when Huachang passed something over. Shilian looked down to find that it was a soft, snow-white steamed bun. He sat back down and whispered, "Thank you, Sanlang." "Take this for now, Gaga," Huachang whispered back. "It'll get better soon." They split the steamed bun in half to share, and the two sat together to slowly munch on it. Pei Ming heard them whispering to each other from where he stood on the other end of the ship. He slicked his hair back again. "Have you two discovered something? Why don't you leave your little world for a moment and share with the rest of us?" Shilian was about to say something to put him off, but frowned instead. "Don't you all sense something strange?" Ming Yi frowned as well and looked up. "Yes." Ming Yi rose to his feet. "The ship seems to be going much slower. Is it running out of power?" "How could that be?" Pei Ming said. "The ship's stores of spiritual power should allow it to run for several more days at sea." Shilian approached the side and set his hands on the railing. "But I keep getting the sense that the ship got heavier." He abruptly stopped mid-sentence. Shi Wudu and the others gathered where he stood. "What is it?" But there was no need to ask. With just a glance, they understood. Despite the darkened sky, the draft of this ship's hull was visibly abnormal. The hull was much lower in the water than before, and the waterline was still climbing. "Is the hull leaking?" Shilian asked. "Did we hit a shoal? Is there something in the water that tore a hole?" "That's impossible," Pei Ming exclaimed. "How would we not notice hitting a shoal? And this isn't some ordinary ship. Nothing should be able to pierce the hull. Unless..." He choked as though he had abruptly realized something. "Unless what?" Pei Ming demanded. "Oh no," Pei Ming said. "What do you mean, oh no?" Shi Qingxuan demanded. Pei Ming whirled around. Ships immediately sink in ghost territory. We've drifted into the Black Water Demon lair.